To give you a sense of how the Democratic Party sells out to the bankers, to the financial industry, et cetera, let me give you some numbers. So Larry Summers is, of course, a former Treasury Secretary for President Bill Clinton and the top economic advisor for President Obama. Now, what did he do in the meanwhile? Yeah, he ran Harvard for a while, president of Harvard, but he also got stinking rich. And how did he do that? Well, he did it by giving speeches and being a consultant for Wall Street, for financial companies. In fact, the year that he was going into the Obama administration, he had to give in his tax returns for 2009, and we found out exactly how much he made. In fact, that year alone, he made $7.8 million, the year prior to joining the administration. Okay, so how did he make it? Well, two different ways. One, he got $5 million from a company called D.E. Shaw. That's a hedge fund. Now, are you ready for this? This is my favorite fact. He worked 1 day a week. You get $5 million for working 1 day a week. You know why? Because they don't care about you working. There's no work. It's not like, hey, Larry, what should we invest in? No. You're being bribed. Because you were in the Clinton administration. If Obama wins, everybody thinks you're going back into the Obama administration, and that was the correct calculation by D.E. Shaw. So they need their man to go inside Washington and do everything they need him. So they pay him a bribe for working 1 day a week. What a joke. And then how about speeches? Oh, speeches galore. Goldman Sachs, et cetera. On 1 day on Goldman Sachs, for one speech, he got $135,000. This isn't the president or anything. This is just basically a staffer, a high-level staffer. But okay, how much did he get for overall for speeches in that 1 year? $1,729,000. Boy, people must think he says the most interesting things. They don't give a damn what he says. To them, at least, they care what he says once he gets inside the Obama administration. And what did he tell the president? Don't regulate the banks. Don't do it. Let's do fig leaf reform. Let's do this thing called Dodd-Frank, where we pretend to do reform, but we have no check on derivatives. We have no check on leverage. The deregulation that Larry Summers pushed through at the end of the Clinton administration is totally protected. Oh, they got their money's worth with Larry Summers. By the way, how much did Larry Summers have in total? $17 to $39 million. Now, wait a minute. Here's a guy who worked in government and as a professor and as a president of a university. How did he get $17 to $39 million? He saved? Yeah, not likely, JR. No, I don't think it was just saving. I believe it was going like, who would like to bribe me? I'm going back into government at some point. Matt Stoller wrote a great piece about this in regards to President Clinton, Rahm Emanuel, et cetera. And his point is great. He's like, look, what you do in office in the beginning isn't as nearly as relevant to these politicians as what they do when they're out of office, or how they get paid when they're out of office. So it's okay to lose an election. He had a great analogy. The time that you're in office is like the regular season. You try hard, to suck up to the guys who are giving you money, et cetera. But you don't want to get hurt, because the real playoffs is when you leave office. And the perfect kind of guy are guys like Larry Summers and Rahm Emanuel, who are in office, get out of office, get paid, bribed, and then come back into office. Those guys are the most valuable. Speaking of which, Rahm Emanuel, he was in the Clinton administration, just like Larry Summers, leaves in 2000, obviously, comes back in as a congressman in 2002. In those 2 years in between, you know how much he made? $12 million. Working very hard. Guess which industry gave him the $12 million? I hope you're sitting. Turns out it's the financial industry. And it turns out when Rahm Emanuel became the chief of staff for the Obama administration, he also didn't really want to regulate the banks. Wow, golly gee willikers, what wild coincidences. Well, how about the guy who authorized the deregulation in the first place? Two huge bills, one at the end of 1999, the other one at the end of 2000 during the lame duck session, the Commodities Futures Modernization Act. Well, the big bubba there was Bill Clinton. He's the one who signed off on it, right? So how much did Bill Clinton make after getting out of office? Again, a politician for his whole life. He didn't make money being a politician. Gets out of office, $80 million. Now you might say, hey, look, he's a former president. He's going to write a book. I get it. He does speeches, et cetera. No. A great chunk of that comes from speeches that bankers can't wait to hear. Oh, golly gee, Bill Clinton, what do you have to say? That is so interesting. By the way, is Hillary Clinton running for president again? Right? And she lost the presidency, but you know what? She's at the State Department now, obviously the head of it. etc. You think Bill Clinton is not relevant in Democratic politics or politics overall? You think getting his blessing isn't relevant to your bottom line? Let me give you just some of the speeches that Clinton made. February 5th, 2001, $125,000 from Morgan Stanley. Credit Suisse, a few weeks later, $125,000. In 2004, $250,000 from Citigroup, $150,000 from Deutsche Bank. Goldman for 2 speeches in the same year, $300,000. In 2006, $150,000 from Citigroup twice, then Lehman Brothers, then Mortgage Bankers Association, then National Association of Realtors. In 2007, Goldman again, twice, Lehman, Citigroup, Merrill Lynch, every time hundreds of thousands of dollars. You think they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart because they really think Bill Clinton was a great president? No, they're paying him off. Doesn't make Bill Clinton a bad guy. It makes the system systematically corrupt. So when these guys know that they either got already or are about to get millions of dollars, whether they're Democrats or they're Republicans, they're gonna play ball. And look at Cory Booker, right? Cory Booker has already gotten, at least $565,000 from Wall Street for his campaigns. He's gotten money in other ways. He's on the same boards with them. He's friends with them. They're in the same circle. They're on the rich New York, Washington circle, right? And then you think when Cory Booker leaves office that he's going to go be a high school teacher somewhere? Oh, no way, no way. When Cory Booker gets out of office, he's going straight to Wall Street and cashing in. Not because he's a bad guy. It's just that's the way the system works. And if they were going to hand you millions of dollars in bribes, are you sure you wouldn't take it? And of course they feel better because they don't think it's bribes. They're like, what? These are the rules. Everything is legal. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just feeding my family. But in the meanwhile, the banks got deregulated. They destroyed the economy. We lost millions of jobs. But you know what? That's collateral damage. No, I don't know if it was deregulation or overregulation. I don't know anything. All I know is I'm going to do what the banks told me to do because I get paid to do that. That's the reality of politics. And it applies to Democrats almost as much as it applies to Republicans.